She stepped onto the plane, exhausted after a long day, looking forward to a quiet first-class seat. But within minutes, her world turned upside down. Airline staff approached her with firm words, insisting she couldn't stay where she was. Confused and frustrated, she was escorted out, leaving other passengers staring and whispering. The tension in the cabin was thick, and everyone could feel that something extraordinary was about to unfold. This was no ordinary passenger. She was calm on the outside, but inside, a storm was brewing. Every eye in first class was on her as she quietly assessed the situation, weighing her next move. It wasn't just about being removed, it was about dignity, respect, and standing up for herself in a moment when most people would simply accept it. What happened next shocked everyone. Her response wasn't loud or chaotic, but it was decisive and powerful. The crew soon realized that underestimating her had been a grave mistake, and as the plane cruised at 30,000 feet, the atmosphere shifted entirely. People whispered, phones clicked, and a quiet tension settled over first class. No one on that flight would forget what was about to happen. And it all started with a simple removal. She took a slow, measured breath as the staff hovered, unsure of what to expect. Few knew her story, but it was one forged from years of challenges and triumphs. A successful entrepreneur, she had built a career from nothing, learning to face obstacles with quiet strength and sharp instinct. Every situation, no matter how tense, became a test of patience and strategy as the flight attendants exchanged uneasy glances. She recalled the countless times she had been underestimated, dismissed, or overlooked. First-class privileges, societal expectations, even authorities, she had navigated them all, often quietly, sometimes with subtle brilliance. Now, hundreds of feet above the ground, she was facing a test unlike any other, a direct challenge to her dignity in front of strangers, who assumed they held the power. Passengers shifted in their seats, sensing the tension, some whispering to each other while others recorded with their phones. The cabin felt smaller, tighter, as if everyone could hear the heartbeat of what was coming. The crew tried to maintain control, but her calm confidence radiated authority. No one could predict how she would respond, and that uncertainty made the air almost electric. Something monumental was about to happen, and every eye on that plane was fixed on her. The murmurs grew louder as she returned to the empty aisle, her posture calm but deliberate. Some passengers exchanged puzzled glances, unsure if they should intervene or simply watch. Behind the scenes, the crew whispered among themselves, debating who had made the call to remove her. Tension thickened like a storm about to break, each moment stretching longer than the last. She didn't speak at first. Instead, she scanned the cabin, noticing the subtle signs of nervousness in the crew, a tightened jaw here, a hesitant glance there. She knew the rules of this world, how authority often hides behind uniforms and protocols, but she also knew her own power. In her mind, she replayed every challenge she had faced. Boardrooms where her voice was ignored, negotiations where she was underestimated, moments when she had been told no, only to find a way to turn it into yes. Meanwhile, passengers began noticing details they hadn't before. The careful precision of her movements, the quiet intensity in her eyes. Some silently cheered her on, others felt unease, realizing the unfolding drama could escalate at any second. From the cockpit, pilots monitored the situation with subtle concern, aware that tension in first class could affect the entire flight. Every second stretched, every glance held meaning, and the question hung in the air: how far was she willing to go to take control of the situation? She moved slowly down the aisle, each step measured, her eyes locking briefly with crew members who tried to maintain a facade of authority. The whispers of passengers faded into a tense silence, broken only by the subtle hum of the plane's engines. Every face in first class watched her, some curious, some anxious, all sensing that the ordinary rules of travel were being rewritten in real time. The lead flight attendant cleared her throat, attempting a polite but firm tone. "Ma'am, we really need you to," but stopped mid-sentence, when she realized the woman's calm gaze carried a weight that could not be ignored. It was a look that had settled boardrooms and changed negotiations, a quiet confidence that made people rethink their assumptions. From the back of the cabin, someone whispered, "Who is she?" And the words rippled through the rows like a spark in dry grass. Crew members exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to proceed, while passengers subtly shifted in their seats, some holding their phones up, sensing they were witnessing something extraordinary. She paused, her hand lightly brushing the armrest of a nearby seat, and then slowly turned to face the crew, as if weighing her next move. The air felt charged, every second stretching unbearably long. Eyes followed her every motion, breaths held, hearts racing. Something monumental was about to happen, something that could change everything on that flight, but no one, not even the crew, could predict exactly what it would be. Just as the tension reached its peak, a sudden announcement crackled over the intercom. The captain's calm voice masked the unease beneath. "We've received word of an unexpected operational issue. Cabin crew, please stay alert." The words were vague, but they added a layer of uncertainty that no one had anticipated. Passengers exchanged nervous glances, the earlier drama now intertwined with a new invisible threat. She didn't flinch. In fact, Her expression sharpened, a glimmer of strategy appearing in her eyes. This was no longer just about being removed from first class, it was about asserting control in a situation spiraling out of order. The crew, sensing her confidence, hesitated, unsure if they could enforce any authority without provoking her. Whispers grew louder. Some passengers leaned forward, captivated by the unfolding scene, phones ready to capture history in motion. Then, another surprise, one of the flight attendants discreetly pulled out a tablet, showing a live feed of the cabin to the cockpit. The captain's eyebrows knitted together, signaling that the situation had escalated beyond protocol. Now, every choice she made could ripple through the entire flight. The ordinary rules of passenger and crew no longer applied. Every eye was on her, every heartbeat synchronized with the suspense in the cabin. Something unpredictable was about to happen, and the stakes had just risen higher than anyone could have imagined. She finally spoke, her voice calm but firm, cutting through the tension like a blade. "Everyone needs to step aside. I'm taking control of this cabin until we land safely." The words were unexpected, and a hush fell over first class. Crew members froze, unsure whether to comply or resist, while passengers watched wide-eyed, sensing that the balance of power had shifted completely. With precise authority, she coordinated the cabin, calmly instructing staff and guiding passengers, transforming chaos into order. What had started as a confrontation over a seat turned into a demonstration of leadership, confidence, and quick thinking under pressure. By the time the plane began its descent, the crew had adapted to her direction. Passengers were settling with a mix of relief and awe, and the atmosphere had changed entirely. Just when it seemed the story had reached its peak, a final twist emerged. As the plane touched down, a high-ranking airline executive was waiting at the gate. Word had spread about the passenger who had taken command mid-flight, and they were there to meet her. Cameras flashed, crew whispered in astonishment, and the passengers realized they had witnessed something far bigger than a simple cabin conflict. She had not only resolved the chaos, but had turned the situation into an unforgettable moment of authority, courage, and unexpected recognition. The ordinary flight had become legendary, and the world outside the plane would soon know her name. As the passengers disembarked, whispers of admiration followed her down the jet bridge. Crew members who had once tried to assert authority now approached with respect, thanking her for guiding the cabin through a tense situation. What had begun as an uncomfortable confrontation over a seat had transformed into a lesson in poise, leadership, and self-respect. Outside the plane, the airline executive shook her hand and offered an opportunity that no one on that flight could have predicted. Cameras captured the moment, social media buzzed, and passengers shared videos, praising her calm decisiveness and courage. Even those who had initially doubted her were forced to rethink their assumptions. She had taken control without aggression, proving that confidence and clarity could overcome misunderstanding and chaos. As she walked away, she reflected quietly on the day's events. It wasn't about fame or recognition, it was about standing up, taking control, and remaining composed when everything around you seemed out of order. Passengers would remember the flight, the crew would remember her instructions, and she would remember how a moment of conflict became a story of empowerment. The ordinary flight had become extraordinary, and the lesson lingered. Courage isn't loud, it's decisive, and respect is earned through calm, confident action, no matter the situation.